What's going on, family? How y'all doing out there today? This is episode 5 of the Pharaohs Podcast. I am your host, Solomon. I'm joined today by Mr. What's Good himself, Israel.
Yo, what's good?
And I know we got a doctor in the house because we got Luke in the building.
What's good? What's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Man, we doing it, man. We at episode 5 now. We cooking. We cooking with some grease.
For real.
Cooking with some grease. How was y'all weekend?
Mine was great. Shoot, it's a great, always a great weekend. Just going going through the motions, you could say, but working hard. Um, Keeping up with what's been going on. Outside and what's going on in the world right now. But it was a lot of studying and a lot of work. So that was my weekend.
What about you, Israel? Because last weekend you was out eating tacos and drinking tequila, and you ain't invite nobody.
Oh man, I had quite the weekend. I don't even know where to start. Friday, there be so much going on for real. I don't. At this point, it's like I don't know what day it was, but I think Friday night I went to a bike night event. I believe, yeah, a bike night event at some Hispanic spot, and a lot of bikers showed up, and was that Friday? I think that was Sunday. Friday night, I don't know what I did Friday night. To be honest with you, I don't know. It gets so crazy. But I know what I did this weekend. I didn't go to work Saturday, so that was great. I'll be working a lot of Saturdays now. And then I ended up going right into the mountains in Alabama, Sheehaw State Park. Got a lot of hills, twists, turns, and curves. Riding up there on my motorcycle and got a lot of views. Just good scenery out there, good experience. Getting to know how to work my bike for real. And then kicking it with the biker people afterwards. Get breaking bread after
Did you freeze? Did he
going to
freeze?
a barbecue afterwards. And Sunday had a meeting. Huh?
No, go ahead. You have froze for a second. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Sunday had a meeting, biker meeting, and then went to another biker event, and yeah, with my cousin, and then after that went out ate some tacos with my cousin, because my cousin got a bike too now, so hey, he out there
Oh,
hit me up about some bike events. My cousin Ray Ray.
I don't know
So
that.
yeah, yeah, you ain't meet him. He the other side of the family. But he down here, he got a bike, sport bike, just got it a couple of weeks ago. So I was hanging with him Sunday. And I think I went to that other bike event Friday night. And that's when I had the margarona. Where I had the big margarita with the Corona inside. I tell you, it was lit, man. It was lit.
A margarona.
And
I ain't never heard that before.
yes, yes, it was a margarona. Yeah, that was Friday. It's Friday. I'll be outside on the biker set, man. I'll be outside. So that's why if I don't hit you up, it's because I be on some biker stuff and we be all over the place. So it was very eventful.
No, don't
And
call me. I work every weekend anyway.
okay, there we go. I gotta call you during the week. Right, right. But that was my weekend. What was your weekend? What was you
Man, my
working?
working just like always, and I'm sick and tired of it. Yesterday, I had left early. I said, "Yo, it ain't nothing to do. Why is y'all scheduling me to do something? There's nothing to do." I just left. So I left. I came home, started doing some edits and stuff for the podcast. Stuff that I actually enjoy doing. But yeah, Saturday work, Sunday work, but I left early and got to doing the podcast. So yeah, I've been chill.
That's what's up.
I might do something this weekend. I sent you a link about some stuff that was going on uh in Atlanta
What was
this
that on
week.
Facebook?
No, I sent it to the group chat.
I'm gonna have to check that out. It's a
Um,
situation.
it's a
But what?
situation.
Let's get into the topic of the day. What's the topic of the day?
So,
What's
so I
filling these
want to get
folks?
into the topic of the day, right? And we gonna talk about a few things, but I want to show y'all something. I want to start doing this at the beginning now. When I know it's gonna be a pop up, when I know we ain't talking about what we was gonna talk about, I'm gonna start doing this just to see y'all pure first reaction to stuff. All right, so this is and what I have is a video. I think his name is Riza Islam. Luke, you know who I'm talking about?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm aware of them. Yeah.
What about you, Israel? You know what I'm talking about?
It sounds familiar. I'm not for sure. For sure.
Okay. We gon' I just want y'all to see this. Let me now this time let me know if y'all can hear it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's start this screen sharing.
And
Start
for
the
the listeners
screen sharing.
who only gonna hear this on audio version, we got a YouTube clip of Riza Islam. Uh can y'all see?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, yeah. Let's see if
All
we
right,
can hear
let me see if it play real quick. Y'all bear with us, our listeners out there.
Let's get to the list that I think is kind of cool, but you might feel differently about it since you have to live this. Mm-hmm. There's a ban list. Yes. Put out by the government. Correct. The president. Literally. 12 names. A. These people are problematic. Correct. Do something with them. Put them in the laundry room. Right? Absolutely. So you're on this list along with who? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Rashid Buttar. Notice how I'm saying doctor. Mm-hmm. These are all professionals, heavy professionals, and roughly 8 others. And these are the people who they said collectively we have influence of roughly 65 to 70% of influence across the entire internet on the planet as it pertains to the virus and the injections. Who put you on this list? The United States government, literally. Oh, it wasn't like an individual. No. They looked at the influence of each individual person, and they said they analyzed over 812,000 posts between Facebook and Instagram, and they said the top names of influence that are getting the most interaction, the most likes, etc., shares, happen to be myself and 11 others. So they said these 12 people are the most dangerous across the internet. They call us the disinformation dozen. And mind you, this came out, I believe, early last year, February, March of 2021. And so far, virtually every single thing that.
All right.
it. Yeah, yeah. I
So
want to take a go. Yeah.
let me put in perspective before I alley oop it to y'all. So we just watched the video of Riza Islam. He was on a Joe Budden podcast, and he basically said that he is on a ban list by the United States government because he was talking about the disinformation that they were putting out about vaccines for COVID. Now, this was, I think, an interview in about 2 years ago because we haven't seen him on the internet like that um, as of recent. And that is because of the government. They said he had too much influence on the internet about the vaccine. So, one question is, how y'all feel about him being on a ban list, which was with 12 other people? And the second question is, should he even speak up about it? Like, is this something that he should continuously talk about to this day? And I'm gonna start with you, Israel, because I know Luke gonna go in.
Man, I think, to be honest, I think he should still talk about it. And what they're doing is silencing those that have information or that actually look up information that influence the people. And it's actually giving the people a sound sound judgment to make the right decision. And it takes money out of their pockets at this point, which is hitting big pharma when we talk about vaccines and things of that nature. And drugs is a big business in the world, shall we say. And when you start dealing with drugs and you're taking away from people money, you gotta be put on the list. And I don't know too much about Rizza Islam, but I know if you spread in truth and if you speaking it, especially if you ain't taking the money out their pockets, you ain't letting them line your pockets up, you're gonna be a problem. You're gonna be a problem with the government.
Yeah, they say he had about 15. He said he had about like 15 million people like across all platforms. So he had a few thousand on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of these places. And together they said the government said that he got too many people basically listening to the truth.
Mm.
And so they decided to put him on a ban list. I don't even think he can open up an account on social
That's
media right
crazy.
now. Unless like, he do it through different means or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if he make a fake, a new address, email address, it's like, you can make a. But what he could do is go to Patreon. Then you got to pay to see his stuff. But even then, somebody might, people might pay, and the wrong person might pay, and then they'll see his information getting out and ban the stuff. So it's kind of ways around it. But still, when you on that list, when they own that ass, they own that ass.
What you think
That's
about
all I
that,
gotta say.
Luke?
Shoot, I gotta agree with both of y'all. It is it's an unfortunate situation we're dealing with nowadays with the whole idea of the sensory. And just a little pre-background on Rizza Islam. Um, um, him and his mother, if I'm not mistaken, have always been into medicine. Um, he's a member of the Nation of Islam, one of their younger, um, outspoken members. He's kind of on the level as far as social media is concerned. Him and brother Ben X were kind of like the young guys really pouring into social media, especially YouTube, um, and kind of setting the tone for the new generation and how they kind of expose media. Um, so Rizla always kind of had his own lane. He always been a very respectful brother. I've seen him on multiple platforms. Um, very, outspoken brother. Of course, like we all humans, so we all contradict ourselves at some point, especially when you're putting out constant information. So, we can try to pull that, but I mean, that's anyone who's pumping out information. There's going to be things that change. But what made him dangerous, I think, on a level more is because, like I say, he has a background. Him and his mother have a strong background in holistic medicine. And they dealt with some issues with the government some years back. I think it was back in California, where they dealt with some legal issues and things like that. So he's kind of they've been on the scene hard for many years. But of course, he's messing up business, and then he's becoming more credible. He's on the same list like the one of the first people ever on the list that he's talking about was Alex Jones. And if anybody know anything about Alex Jones, he's always been outspoken. He don't care what he say. He's gonna say what he wants. He has millions of people that tune into his broadcast every week, larger than most news platforms. Um, he was dangerous. So once they banned Alex Jones, that was the example. That was one of the first examples of banning someone in the digital realm. Once that ban happened, it's just whoever was next. And now Rizza Islam has found himself in that category because clearly he's upsetting some people in the pharma realm, especially when it comes to the vaccine and all of these different things. He was very outspoken on how he felt about it. And so I'm not too surprised. I think it's very
But
sad we
but
get.
is he the question for me though, is he lying though? Because I got something else I can show y'all right now. Just a list um for the audience that's viewing us right now on YouTube. Do you see this list of put this over here? And this comes from
That's a
research
crazy amount of
vaccines.
lists. Crazy amount of vaccines.
So the vaccine doses for U.S. children from 1962 was just 5 to from 1962 to 2016. It went from 5 to 72 doses of different vaccines for children. So and they list the ages of when they were going to give it to them and all that stuff. So you go from what kind of was mostly natural to now you're dosing up all of the children with different vaccines in the world. And Luke, I
That's
know
how
you
it,
have children right now. So
yeah. And I mean, even for me, I luckily, my way of life allows my children to be exempt from that. So I was able to figure out how to incorporate that in there, but some people can't. And you're then forced in a position to where now you have to do these things. Now, mind you, these are experiments. If you notice, they're giving them more because they're experimenting, and then coming back. RZA main point was one of his big points is that one, this was a very rushed type thing, which makes it more dangerous. And then he comes from a background of the Nation of Islam. Anybody know? They've been preaching against vaccines for years. So it's kind of like it's expected. Now this really big situation comes up, of course, they're gonna go crazy because that 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 has always been the narrative. I personally agree with it. I don't think that you need all of that. I don't. I mean, I get, I kind of understand in a way, but one of my big questions has always been, well, why need so if you have something that's supposed to protect you from people who don't have it, then where is the worry? The people who should be worried is the people who don't have it. But it's usually the other way around. The people who do have it or who force their children to go get it are now fighting with other parents who don't want their children to be vaccinated. That doesn't really make sense to me, logically. So it always made me feel a little skeptical about the whole subject.
what you say to that, Israel?
I feel like that should be a private thing anyway, because why I know what's going on with your child's records, medical records, and things of that nature. As long as it ain't got nothing too overly crazy, it's in like this dude got schizophrenia or things of that nature where you can actually tell. I shouldn't know nothing about the shots that another child is getting. And then what is a RZA? What's his name? RZA Islam.
Mm-hmm.
With him getting silenced and on that list, it kind of doesn't it kind of violates his freedom of speech at that point. I guess he got a freedom of speech, freedom to talk, unless you're telling the truth and it's making sense and you influencing people. That's what they need to be.
Because
What they
even if
need
you
to
tell
put.
you ain't got nobody, they don't care. But it's when you got as many people as him, I mean, probably millions of views every week on multiple platforms. Now, mind you, he's probably still on Twitter because Elon Musk owns Twitter. So Twitter, well, X
Yeah,
now.
Big
That's not
Elon, Big Elon on.
that's not a that's not so much like a censor platform as they do their thing, but he kind of lift that whole thing. So I'm pretty sure he has that. But you got to think about it. His monetization, that was probably a lot of his revenue,
Yeah,
being able to build those accounts up over the years.
yeah,
And now you're making consistent revenue, and then all of that just get cut off like that. They tried to do it to Andrew Tate. That kind of was different for him though, because he's a different level of wealth. But it's still, like you say, it's a violation of freedom of speech but many years ago, Solomon had brought up when they first started tapping into this back in Obama's administration, where the whole rollout of how we were going to get to where we are today really started going on. And a lot of people wasn't noticing it. But I do remember one day Solomon and I was on the phone and he had brought it up. He said, man, ain't nobody even really talking about that. The ownership of the internet, the ability to kind of rewrite ways to get around the Constitution of freedom of speech. So
yeah, yeah. I remember that. I was saying like at some point, yeah, you got freedom of speech to a certain extent when it comes to the internet. You might be able to say what you want to say outside of the internet, but you don't own YouTube, you don't own Facebook, you don't own Twitter. None of those these people are owning this stuff. So you're going to be shut down eventually. Somebody's going to tell you that you can't say something eventually. They did it to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
The first person who they kind of like put it out publicly, like, yeah, Donald Trump, you can't say crazy stuff if you feel like it. And that was when it was Twitter. It's X now, but when it was Twitter, they had shut his whole account down. I'm like, dang, people ain't noticing that they can tell the president what he can and can't say on the internet. And people wasn't paying attention to that.
Got the power. Makes you wonder who really got the power. So
And then what was the
And them
it's,
changing Twitter, that's crazy.
it's escaping my mind right now. What is the when they were doing the experiment? Is it Tuskegee? Was it
what
when they were
experience
doing out the vaccines
with
and
the
they were
what
giving it and they was giving them, I think, syphilis or sickle cell, whichever one it was. I'm trying to remember.
I get what you're talking about. It's definitely something with the government because, of course, they own in the military or any kind of government workforce, and that in that capacity, you're owned by the government. So, of course, we know they always would experiment with things with them first. Less liability if something goes wrong. Um, I can't remember the exact name of it either, but I do know what you're talking about. And I feel that's what it was. It was an experiment. It's also a way to push big pharma to make more money. Still money being involved, but silencing him because this thing they started bringing up was the misinformation, and misinformation came up because of poor leadership. That's where that really began to come. Because if you look at the way it happened, Dr. Fauci, who is right now all in the news, all in the headlines now because he's quote unquote in trouble, but they're starting to put pressure on him because as we go back and we look at that whole situation, poor leadership in his control. He was in control of that whole movement on what should we do. He was advising the president. Now you got to come and pay. You got to pay the piper now, because now that everything didn't calm down, people like some stuff just didn't make sense.
So
It didn't make sense.
wait, say it again, Israel. You kind of going in and out just a little bit.
I said, that made sense. It didn't make sense to me.
Can you hear him, Luke?
Yeah, I can
Like,
hear. No, it well, now it's starting to go late. No,
Israel, try to go out and then try to come back in to the
mic check.
try to go out and come back in. Okay. I was gonna say, a lot of the the silencing part, right? Is that on us? Is that on us as a culture that we're even allowing something like that to even happen?
what you mean, like an American culture?
Like as
Mic
as
check.
the
Mic
black
check.
people, we got you in now. As black
Right.
people, like we first of all, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of late to the party. I didn't even know that they was trying to silence this man. But it did come apart with me when I was like, wait a minute, whatever happened to RZA? I ain't heard from him. I heard from Ben X, but I haven't heard from RZA in a while. And then that's when I had came across this video. I'm like, what? So like, is it us as a people, as a culture of black people, we didn't say anything about this when it was happening? Are we scared to speak up about that? Or are people protesting still? And even if they are protesting, it must not be getting across to anybody because I didn't hear anything about him being silenced.
I think it's that one. I don't think it's our fault. Um, and then two, I don't think the answer would be to do anything like what's been going on. Complaining about it, really not gonna get the job done. You have to take the same approach that the people who they've already done this to has, and that is creating your own platforms. Um, anytime, I think they got a platform out now called Rumble, right? This was created because when people were dealing with cancellation situations, they wanted to find a platform. In Israel, you had said something earlier about it going from Twitter to X. That was kind of Elon's way of kind of really showing like there's a new sheriff in town. All of that.
Mm.
We watching this, and you can't say that we're not doing that no more. That was Twitter, but this is X now. So he didn't have to create. He did the roll up. He had the money to do it, of course, but he did the roll up
Yeah,
procedure. He took a company that was already created and then just slapped a new brand on
which
it.
is
But
smart.
that's
Right.
what has to be
Like, boom,
done.
pat
That's
token.
that's the only
Yep.
thing that's how you handle the censorship. So no, the only thing black people can do is go create platforms and then invite RZA on.
I agree.
Create platforms. Now him personally, like you said, Patreon, there are other platforms. It's not gonna be YouTube money. It ain't gonna be Facebook money. But it takes
Mm.
us as a people to say, okay, to support the brother, we have to separate ourselves from the larger platforms. That's like saying, we ain't got no money in our community, but everybody going to Walmart, nobody go to the mom and pop shop. That's
Mm.
your fault. Nobody forced you to go to Walmart. Walmart may be more convenient, but this is the American mindset. Convenience has now overtaken common sense. Your
People
mama
pay
and
for
daddy own
convenience.
the shop right next to Walmart, and you go inside of Walmart. Then you go home to the same house that they own, and y'all ain't got no food. That is how we think now. That's how we really think. We will overlook our own people and stuff that they doing and support a corporation and then complain about it as if the corporation forced us to do it.
But
Because
I mean, he isn't the
subconscious,
first person, Israel. He not the first person that, they had the government had to step in and say something to. They did it to Dr. Sabi.
Yeah, I remember that too. It's like, yo, you healing these people out here. You taking money from us. They don't do the
yeah, but Dr.
holistic
Sabi,
stuff, and now you got them.
I don't know. That comparison to me, Solomon, is different though. Dr. Sabi didn't make his money from the
No,
digital
I
realm.
was saying when the government stepped in again and said something to another black
Oh,
person
yeah,
who was
yeah.
saying that
Oh,
about healing or vaccines, or
oh, yeah,
in this
yeah.
situation he was talking about vaccines. We all know, well, the people who don't know, Dr. Sabi also was a person who studied holistic healing and natural medicine to try to heal the human body. So, and he was a person that the government also wanted to silence and sideline. He went to court. Now RZA didn't get a chance to go to court,
No, he's
and
been in
then
court.
he's still in court.
Not still in court, but like I told you, him and his mother have been dealing with stuff like this for almost over 10 years. They're not new to the game. It's
Yeah,
just on a digital platform. But as far as literally having to deal with the government trying to shut down their practices, yeah,
Israel, what
long
you
time.
think about a ban list though? Why do the government got a ban list and they proud of it? Like, I think you could, let me see if I can Google this right now as you talking, but why do we even, who allowing these people to have a ban list? Us?
The people who control the apps, because it's like, obviously, they create the list, talk to people who controlling the app, and you can just go in and cancel. Just cancel their account. But it's not like, yeah, let's ban them. But who knows? It might be an Uncle Tom dude who like, yo, I don't like what he's saying. I'm gonna report him to the IRS. I'm gonna report him to the Alphabet Boys, and I'm gonna tell them they need to watch this guy. This dude's doing this in the community, spreading misinformation. He might feel some type of way about the dude, and it may not even be true. But he got the crab in the barrel syndrome, where he don't want this man to get up because he's still down here, and he want everybody else to stay down here. But
I
I
need to
don't know.
find this
That's
ban
my
list.
thoughts on that. But the
Well,
ban list is like, now that you banning it, I kind of want to see why you banning it. Like, why is this banned? Give me a reason why. Like, if you're gonna have the list, explain why these people are banned. I'm the type of person. If you're telling me not to do,
did he freeze? Froze.
Mhm.
Um,
What misinformation? Inform me on what information is misinformation. So then I rightly decide if this ban list is justifiable to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, because to justify doing it is one thing. When someone is harming someone and stuff like that, of course we know there's all that. But most of these people are just saying stuff. They're not harming anyone in a direct way. They probably harming institutions, probably getting people to think and question. But that was really supposed to be the whole difference of this land, or as they would say, the country. You're supposed to be able to critically think about the decisions that are made in our government system. And now I'm 28, and I know we're not as politically strong mentally like our generation. We're not. You look at what we focused on, and it kind of shows you. If you was to ask, especially black people, because you were saying accountability, when these laws about censoring and all of this stuff was coming in, where were we petitioning it? Because we're still trying to catch up to that kind of game of they're playing paper games. This is law that's getting written in. But if I was to ask most of us, well, break down the government, how does it work? Well, I wasn't good in social studies. I know most of us wasn't because it wasn't really pushed for us to understand that. It wasn't really pushed for us to understand like this is y'all gonna be able to run the country one day. Y'all really gotta focus. They ain't teach us like that in school, that was the purpose. And now we all grown in our 20s and our 30s with 30% of the market financially. And everybody crying, saying stuff too expensive and things ain't the same and this, that, and the third. I ain't really too surprised that we right here now.
So you saying the solution is creating our own so that they won't proverbial turn the water off on us. So make sure that our cash flow continues by creating our own opportunities or going on, I guess, a more underground type of a site rather than YouTube, rather than Facebook, rather than X, or maybe X you still can, but creating our own situation so our voices can be heard because as of right now we can't. And
And yep, I agree.
before we go to the next subject or the next topic, ladies, and gentlemen, we gotta go on a commercial break. We've been going in. When we
Commercial
be
break
going, yeah.
already?
When we go in, dude, the
Mm-hmm.
the time go quick. The time go quick. So commercial break, and we'll be back.